Welcome back to What the Fertility Season 4. Today we have an exciting guest on with us, Laetitia, who is actually Mindset, Body, and Soul on Instagram. She is also a holistic coach for fertility for women, and she is going to share with us her journey of unexplained infertility, as well as ectopic pregnancies, miscarriages, and kind of what all led her to a holistic, functional approach to things, and how she conceived about 40 years old. So if you want to kind of go ahead and share your journey, we're so excited you're on with us. So welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for having me. I'm very honored. So I'll share a bit of my story, trying to make it not too long.
No, you're fine. Yes. Kind of, did you know from the beginning that you were possibly going to struggle, or did you have any
Um,
insight at all? Yeah.
I think that is the crazy thing. I always knew I was going to be a mom.
Yeah.
I think you well, how do you know? But it's like in my heart, always, it's never going to be like, I never even I think I didn't come across anyone in my family going with infertility, or I didn't hear of anything like that. So it wasn't even in my mindset.
Sure.
For me, when I met my partner, I was already in my early 30s, and I knew we were going to conceive at some point, but that was not my first priority in terms of at least give us a year or two to travel, to enjoy, and to just enjoy life and relationship and stuff.
Right.
So this is what we did, and unfortunately, I got cut short because not long after I lost my mum of cancer. So that was a very difficult time. It took, I had to obviously, take time for myself to grieve and everything. So conception wasn't the first thing either at that point. So it led me to really try to conceive when I was probably mid-30s at that point, maybe about 35. I thought, I was so naive when you think back after such a long journey, you're like, oh, well, let's try. Something I should mention before that is when I've met him and, I knew my heart, I knew was the one. And I decided to stop taking the contraceptive pill, even though we were not actively trying at that point, but I just thought, let me just reset my hormones and everything. And by the way, looking back now, I'm thinking taking the pill was probably the biggest mistake I've made because shortly after I was diagnosed because of pain in my period and really heavy period and everything. I was diagnosed with adenomyosis, which for people that don't know, they call it the sister of endometriosis. Sorry, yeah. I can't how to pronounce every time, but it's I don't know if you've heard of it before.
No, I'm not familiar with it.
No, so okay, when endometriosis, it's where I think there's tissues growing outside of your uterus. For adenomyosis, it grows inside the muscular wall, so inside the muscle. But other than that, it's pretty much the same symptoms.
How did they, if you don't mind me asking, how did they find out that that's what you had? Is it
that's my symptoms,
or
a scan. It was through a scan, but the reason I did a scan is because I thought, wow, what are these periods? I mean, bearing in mind that the last time I had normal natural period without the pill was when I was 16. And that's the reason why they gave me the pill, to numb it.
Yeah.
I couldn't numb it because I just feel they didn't give me any other options. And it's fair enough, but I really wasn't aware of the risk and the fact that I would not know I had the disease under that. So they diagnosed it with a scan, but there's nothing you can do about adenomyosis. So anyway, that's just because it's also something that can cause issues with fertility, which, I didn't know about. But anyway, when we tried to conceive, I just thought, oh yeah, let's try. And I wasn't aware of ovulation. It's not that I wasn't aware of it, but I wasn't taking track of anything. Didn't have an app, didn't do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
And it will happen. Oh, yeah.
But you know what? It did happen. That's the funny thing. It happened after 6 months. Oh, well, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Because, you hear all this thing after 35, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't actually do any tests before that. I thought, yeah, let me try. So 6 months, got pregnant. I did a big celebration because I found out on his birthday. And you never forget about that first time, right? And it was just so special, even if it was very short. Didn't last very long. We found out a few days, I can't remember exactly how long after, but it wasn't very long. A few days later, I started bleeding, and we found out doing the test that it was an ectopic pregnancy. So that would have been my first ectopic pregnancy. That was on my left tube. 95% of ectopic pregnancies happen in the tube. And I didn't know what was an ectopic pregnancy. So maybe there are some people that don't know what that is. And that's where your embryo implants outside of your womb. So 95%, as I said, goes into the tubes, but it could be other places, but usually that's in the tube. It can be also very life-threatening. So it's a very serious thing. And I didn't know about it. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't just think was having a miscarriage, but that's the only thing I was aware of in around that. So it became like going from naive celebration, easy conception to like medical tests and back and forth in a hospital because you have to check everything. And there are 3 ways of dealing with ectopic, and one of them is taking a drug. And I didn't know either that this drug is actually what they use with cancer patients. And so it's a chemo drug and it's really harsh. So I took this, and it took me about 3 months to end the pregnancy. So from the time I found that to the time my body was without a pregnancy, it took 3 months. Took 2 dosages of that drug. Anyway, I won't go into all details, but the point is that it's quite traumatic. It's traumatic not only emotionally, but it's traumatic physically. And I think we undermine the risks of taking these drugs. And I mean, there's not much choice. It's either what they call the expected management, which is the same as miscarriage, where you naturally wait for your body to, end the pregnancy, or you take the drug, or there are surgeries if it becomes like serious. So there's not much choice at that point. But not only did I take 1 dose, but I had to take 2 dosage. So that's why it took so long.
So sorry.
There was. Say again.
I'm just so sorry for your loss.
No, thank you.
Of course, like, it's devastating that you lost the baby, but then to go through it for 3 months of just waiting for you to like pass and fully.
And it's non-stop in a hospital checking. And I was so against needles, not against, but scared of needles, taking bloods and all of that. And at that point, you do it almost every day, every other day. So it's non-stop. You can't even. I find you can't even process it emotionally because you're so involved into this medical process. But the reason I'm talking about all this is also because not only did it take 3 months, but physically it had some side effects after. So it took me a lot longer to recover, even though they say wait 3 months to try to get pregnant again after an ectopic. It took me a lot longer because they had so much, like I began having like abdominal pain, like different like digestive issues, allergies. I had lots of bad things that happened. And I realized after that, that's what led me to looking for someone holistic in terms of like natural. I went for a naturopath, and she's the one that told me that I had liver. I need to do a detox at that point in your body. I have a leaky gut, my liver is affected, so all of that was created because of that. So it took me a lot longer to recover from that first pregnancy. Wow. So, but the good news is I did all the detox, and I really it helped me really be a lot more conscious of everything that, what you eat, everything. And she also said about the pill, how it could have contributed to my leaky gut and things like that. So, it was beneficial for my thing, but it took a long time. And after that, we did all the fertility testing, everything that we do, hormones and everything. And I was doing it side by side with my naturopath, which I thought was good because in our system here, they just do the basics. But I find that, sometimes things that are in normal range in blood tests, if you don't look at it properly, sometimes it's very much on the lower end or very much on the higher end. and they
Mhm.
don't really look properly. So there are things like testosterone and other things that I had to look at. So anyway, I was looking hand in hand with the naturopath.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, my whole world started collapsing, thinking, what is that? But on the other hand, they're like, oh, it's just the one loss that happens. That's, there's really like, but there was only just 1% chance that ectopic happens. But I thought, okay, that's fine. Recovered. So we tried again. And I had I hate the word chemical pregnancy, but I had an early loss about 7, 8 months later. Um, and yeah, so that was another thing to go through. And a year later, I went through my second ectopic pregnancy on the left tube. And obviously, after the first one, I should mention as well, I did the test of my tubes, I did the scans, so everything was fine. Even my tubes were
Yeah,
fine.
we're good.
And I'm like, okay, so at that point, what's the answer? What, you are the doctor, tell me what to do next.
Right.
What is it? And they can't tell you. So, well, and after doing all the tests, they did say I have low AMH, which is, low. I know you know what it is, but I'm just saying that the egg reserves was low. And obviously, I'm like, what to do next? They eventually diagnosed me with an explained infertility. Even though I was having ectopic, it was a case of unexplained because all the tests were coming normal. So yeah, second ectopic, and I did go and consult someone to do an IVF or IUI. And I know IUI wasn't for me because they said, well, we rely on the tubes, and for you, it's probably not the solution.
Mhm.
And IVF, they explained me that it was more risk to have ectopic when I asked the question. And I thought, okay, I really need to think this through. I don't know what to do.
Wow.
So we're not talking high percentage, but technically it was already 1% before. So I'm like, now it goes to 5%. And the more you have ectopic, the more you are at risk. So I was completely confused on what to do, to
That's
be
what I
honest
was
with you.
gonna ask. I was gonna ask that if that once you have an ectopic, do you have a higher chance of having an ectopic pregnancy again?
Yeah, so I think originally it's about 1 to 2%, and it goes to about 15 to 20% after the first one. So yeah, you get a much higher risk after you had one.
Wow.
Um, some people say you do the tube test and they inject this thing inside your tube, and it should clear it.
Mhm.
Second ectopic, none the wiser. So kept going, and so I decided to put IVF on the side of my mind for now and tried again. And a year later, I had a third ectopic on the same left tube.
Oh my goodness, this left tube. What's going on? Oh my
Yeah, and I always ovulated on that side. And what I must say is I'm so grateful because you remember, as I said about the drug thing, the other two ectopic I was followed, I didn't need anything. So
goodness.
that it naturally happened, but it's still long. It's not like overnight, it takes months and months. Sometimes it takes 3 months, sometimes two. So yeah, third ectopic. So we at that point I'm 38 at that point. And I think I'm 38. Hold on. Yeah, I'm 38. 37, sorry. I'm trying to think. I'm 37, 2017. Yeah. I am 37, 38, I think. Sorry, it's hard to remember. But
Oh
anyway,
yeah.
it's like, what am I? 38, I think. Yeah. And so I remember the doctor telling me, well, we're going to take you in a theatre and remove your tube. And I said, well, you can't just tell me that like that. I said, am I at risk? Is it anything? And they're like, well, no. But I remember being so destroyed. And this man was so not compassionate. And I remember him saying, those things that you don't forget, those words, those things. And he's like, well, you've had 3 ectopic. How many more do you want? That
Oh,
was exactly his words. And I was like, well, trust me, I don't want any.
wow.
uh, but that is not the way you explain me what are my options here. And he was in a waiting room with people around, and he just thought it was so like not dealt the proper way.
Wow.
Um,
So sorry.
yeah, no, thank you. But yeah, that I realized with time that I never processed emotionally any of those things until after. I just kept on like, I couldn't leave any stones unturned. I'm that kind of person that needs to find a solution. I'm like solution seeker. So all throughout these years, I just tried to find what's going on. So of course I did acupuncture. I found a naturopath. I changed my diet. I changed my vitamins I was taking. I took all the toxicity around me. I tried to change all my beauty products, everything I was using. So I went through a lot. I think in terms of my physical environment, but I don't think I was processing emotionally. I just kept on going. We need to keep going. And everyone's like, yeah, your age. And then the other hand, you hear people saying, well, at least you can get pregnant. And I'm like, oh my God, that's really
Worse. You're like, yeah, but that's not still giving me the end result that I want. Just because I can get pregnant, it's not like my baby's not here, like with me right now. Yeah.
My rule is when it comes to fertility, do not say the word at least.
Oh,
Not do that.
so true. Yes.
Not say it for anything. Just forget that. So I was stuck. My life collapsed, and as every woman going through this, you just become the shadow. I became the shadow of myself. I just was obsessed with it. But at the same time, I could not understand what. You don't have a solution with this stupid unexplained diagnosis, which is not a diagnosis, right?
Yeah.
When that man said to me, well, how many more do you want? I said, well, all I want is a night to think over. First, I'm going to ask you, is my life in danger? Or is my, anything at risk? He said, no, your HCG are very low, but it's just a question of how many more do you want? Or how many more can you cope? I said, I can't cope with any, but my point is to remove my tube is a very important decision. So I need to think this through. Mm-hmm. So, and I think at that point, I'm going to tell any woman as well to always follow your gut feeling. When something feels wrong, it doesn't matter if it's a doctor telling you this or anyone, when your gut's screaming at you, something is not right, or it just doesn't feel right, just follow your gut. And at that point, my whole gut was saying, do not do it. Do not. And it didn't make sense, to be fair. My partner was like, well, maybe that is the solution, but I would never tell you what to do. It's your body, and I'm going to be there with you, supporting you 100%. But you need to think this through. So I said, yeah, you're right, but yes, something's telling me not. So I said, listen, let's try one more time and not remove the tube, and then see, and then we'll figure out maybe IVF, or we'll try something else. And that whole year was the transformation, really. Following this loss, because I thought, okay, if I'm going to try one more time, we're going to have to take a break. Yeah. Because I feel like I'm losing myself. I've lost myself. I feel like we've lost our connection, because all our relationships revolves around that. We've lost the joy of our life, of what we like doing before. I can't remember even what I liked doing before. I can't remember socializing. I can't remember anything, because all I'm doing is being in this bubble of conception. So that's what we did. We stopped trying. And it took maybe 9 or 10 months at that point to what I did is I thought I need to reconnect with myself. And that's where I really opened up to energy healing, mindfulness, take time for myself. And it hit me really at that point, because I thought, when everyone talks about grieving, emotional process and I had all those triggers. I had PTSD clearly from all those things. And for me, in my case, it was always going into those scans. Because when you have an ectopic once, the second time you get pregnant, they tend to scan you after 6 or 7 weeks to check where it is, if it's in the right place. And this is how you find out if you've got a second one, other than having the symptoms. The symptoms for me was usually like bleeding, dizziness, and things, and maybe sometimes stomach pain. But sometimes I wouldn't have any symptoms. And those words were like, I'm sorry, it's in the wrong place. I'm sorry, it's another ectopic. So I really had to process all this. And I realized that, yes, I haven't, in those 3 years, I've not actually processed emotionally. I was holding on to all of it inside me. And that's really where the work began. I didn't realize it was at the time, but now looking back, that's where really all the work of the emotional processing began. But also, just my nervous system, reset my nervous system, calm it, and go from like fight or flight mode. My whole body, my whole mind felt unsafe to conceive. I didn't know all those things at the time, but it completely felt unsafe because everything became like stress, fear. And conception became fear. And so, we took 9 months, not only to reconnect with my partner, but also with myself, as I said. But I consulted therapists for emotional healing, for mindset. And when I say mindset, and this is what I do now, but it's not like toxic positivity. No, it's actually going into your subconscious and looking at your fears, your belief. What are they now? These people keeping telling you're too old for this, or like, I actually lost trust in my body as well. I actually truly believe my body was broken. I thought there's something's wrong with me. Something is not right. My body, I can't count on the body either. So I was really talking negatively about myself. It wasn't intentional, but when you start looking at and doing that work on yourself, you realize things when people telling you like, yeah, actually. So I went from going in that vicious circle to really assessing everything that I felt was going wrong. And yeah, it totally changed. And also I felt like carrying all those heavy weights for 3 years of all this loss, one loss after one. So it's 4 losses at that point. And just feeling lighter and lighter. And what it did is really removed all my triggers as well. The emotional charge, everything that, was holding on to. So again, sorry, long story short. When I felt finally ready again, after about 9 months, we tried again. And I got pregnant naturally. And this time it was the pregnancy that lasted.
Oh,
And I was
that's
blessed to have a beautiful daughter. And funny enough, my pregnancy, a year before, that's when I spoke to that doctor. And when I got pregnant exactly a year later, it was from that left tube.
Oh my goodness, stop. That's crazy.
Isn't it?
That is so crazy.
No one can
Imagine if you would have taken it out, then it would not. That is, wow. I'm so happy.
To explain. Sorry?
So I'm so happy you listened to your gut. I mean, that's huge. That's incredible.
Yeah. Throughout those times, I and I think, you did ask me, how did I get to this? I guess, throughout the thing, it almost becomes like a personal development as well. You change everything about, your perspective on life, having lost my mom as well before. And now, you don't take anything for granted anymore, but it also opened me to like the holistic side of it, and how it made me realize that, yes, for some women it's easy to get pregnant and you don't think of the ins and outs, you just get pregnant. But for most of us, or loads of us actually, it's not that simple. And it's not just, the sperm meet the egg kind of thing. There's so much that goes into it, and your body, your mind, and your soul, in my case, the whole energy needs to be aligned, needs to work together. It's connected. And so realizing that throughout the years, even when I was the last year, I started to do energy healing. So basically, what I would try on myself, and I thought, that's amazing. And I didn't think I was going to be a coach or anything. I just thought, oh, let me train in this, because then I could help other, my friends, or I could help myself. I could. So I trained into energy healing, and I discovered this amazing therapy that is EFT, the tapping, emotional freedom technique. And again, I started doing it for myself, and then I trained as well. So these are the two modalities that I first trained in, but before even thinking of changing anything, career. And so, that's what happened. And then I had my daughter, and obviously, like, enjoy my pregnancy after loss is another story, right? It's yeah, it's not butterflies and unicorns. But I think having worked on my mindset and also my emotional triggers, it relieved me of some of the fear, but it's never going to go away completely. It's just helped me throughout it, and I was still followed during it and doing hypnosis as well. And of course, it's not, you're going to take away the idea that it's going to be easy, but each milestone, one step at a time, and that's why I got through this. And I think it was always in my mind that I needed to do something that really meant a lot to me in my life. I needed to change career, go from corporate to do something that actually really meant something to me. Funny enough, it wasn't like clear what was it I'm going to do, and then I just thought, yes, this is it, because I just kept hearing all those women going through it, and yes, a lot of time is medical related, physical related, but all of those women that haven't explained infertility, and yes, a lot of time, I think 30% of the time is for endometriosis. They say that it's related to that. And funny enough, they can't actually do studies on adenomyosis. Or when you have adenomyosis, they can't do any operation to remove it. But, so there's a lot of things like it's annoying. But other than that, there are still there are still some women that have everything that is going right for them physically. There's no medical concerns, but yeah, it's not happening. It's not happening. So I thought, no, I need to be there for those women, because I personally don't like the medical world, like the hospital makes me anxious, everything like that. So let alone when something that should be so beautiful as a conception, the miracle of life, becomes so medical. I think we're not enough supported emotionally. And whether you're going through IVF, whether you're doing it naturally, you have losses and all this, it's just like I thought, emotionally we need support. And that was my first reason why I decided to change and do this. But also excuse me, being that solution seeker that I am, I know there are sometimes different blocks. So that's when I start to study mindset coaching, which is really a way. Mindset coaching is really a way to uncover what makes you you. So it's not your mindset as in be positive and stuff. No, it's your belief, it's your habits, it's your values, it's your identity, it's your thoughts, your everything that makes you. And that's why I decided to study that, as well as hypnosis and modalities like that, to really apply what I've applied on myself to help other women.
That's incredible.
Talked a lot, right?
That's incredible. So if someone was to be in this journey, kind of where you were at prior to all of their healing and everything, what is the best way to find you, reach out to you? Do you do it virtually? Is this something people in the States can still have you as a coach for? Can you just kind of explain the process for our listeners?
Well, funny enough, I have a recent client that's actually from the States. That will be my first one. Sorry, I've got something in my throat. Yeah, so it's something that I do virtually. I'm looking also at doing it more locally for those that are locals. But my way of working is it's not just coaching. It's a whole mind, body, soul approach. So we're doing it with therapies. But the good news is it all can be done virtually. So I work on like we are now. I work on Zoom and when it comes to energy healing, it can still be done virtually. It's not something that needs to be done in person. That's why I've started my work myself on me before. And yeah, ideally, when some people prefer it in person, it can only be done if people are from London. But other than I have people
fly to London, go for it.
But yeah, I have people from France. I have people from different countries, and that's definitely not a problem. Yeah, I've got different offers, and I do also. It's also very close to my heart to help women during pregnancy, after loss, to support them. So it's kind of yeah, conception and pregnancy after loss.
That's amazing. And I see on your website that you have like this free meditation. Can you talk about a little bit about what that like free meditation, I guess it's like a guided meditation people can use, they can
Yeah.
fill in?
Yeah, I do a lot more meditations now. I've not put them all on my website, but I do send them to my clients. I do them as well live. Um, I think for me, it's very important to help the woman reconnect with herself. So my whole thing is not, yeah, we try to find the blocks. We try to, yeah, get closer to all those hidden blocks subconsciously and the emotional triggers and all that. But ultimately, I want to empower the woman. I want her to have this mind-body connection. I want her to, and this the meditation specifically is to really connect to the womb. Womb is your space where you're going to create that baby, and it's so important, I think, to be in contact with your womb, to connect, and also, yeah, just to see your body as your ally, not your enemy, as it tends to be what we are. But I think with some working, we can really change that. And be thankful for everything our body works. And sometimes, yes, it's not working. Something is, but if you are really in touch with your body, your womb, your gut feeling, your inner wisdom, then you tend to really know a lot more what you need to do and what you can't do, or what's resonating with you. Because let's be honest, when we look out there outside on the internet, there's so much going on. That's why I was going in spiral when I was trying myself. Like, you hear, oh, maca powder works. You try that, yeah. Take aspirin, take this, that. There's so much information out there, and it's very overwhelming. And it would work for some women, but not everything will work. And it doesn't mean you should try every single thing. So I think being in touch with your inner wisdom and also connect to your womb. And I think for me, it's also very important to say that emotions, stored emotion can be stored also in your womb, but like we are holding them. So if we don't process them, there's going to be some processed unresolved trauma held in our body. And it's very important for me to help the woman process those. So the first step, yeah, the meditation is the first step, I guess, to be in touch with your body and connecting with your womb. That's one of the things that I do, because I think that's so important.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I appreciate everything you're doing. And I love that through all of your trials and everything you've been through, now you've kind of turned this into a way that you can help others. We kind of hope that that's what we're doing too. So I love that you're
Yeah.
and we were able to connect this way. And now we can hopefully bring some more people your way that they can get in touch with their bodies and in hopes, obviously, conceive. So that's amazing what you're doing. Thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you for bringing awareness to, infertility and everything that, I think it's so helpful to listen to your podcast. I think it's important to talk about it. It's important to know that you're not alone. And yet all of our stories are different, but it brings us together as well, right? Because no one else understands you better than those that went through this horrible, horrible journey. And it's all worth it in the end, but we're never gonna come out the same way we came in, right? It will change us. But yeah, I choose to empower those women and bring hope as well, because against all odds, I had adenomyosis, low AMH, unexplained infertility, turning 40. My daughter was born just before I was 40. And I got pregnant naturally. And it doesn't matter if it's naturally or IVF or anything, but I still think that emotional support and going through your blocks would help you. And some of my clients have blocks from like childhood, where they were told like certain things about fertility. Sometimes what they've seen around in their family and friends, and then they believe it will happen to them too. And believe it or not, it stays in your subconscious, and it becomes like, I call it a block, but it becomes something that's not aligned with fertility, and it becomes something that without your knowing or not will stop you as well from fully being aligned with conception, and it can stop you being pregnant too. So
Yeah. Well, wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing everything. And I want to just make sure everyone knows your website is mindsetbodyandsoul.com. And so they can go on there and they can put their email address in and connect with you. And your email or your Instagram is mindset_body and soul. And so they can just
Yeah.
message you on there. You have like a link tree on there with all different resources, your website and everything on there. So be sure to check her out, and definitely reach out if you are in a space that you're wanting to start this healing journey, and really just be more in tune with your body. I think is a
Yeah,
great.
be more connected and just be and healing, just healing. I think that's when I realized the most is that go and sometimes I that's why I do pregnancy after loss as well. I have women that haven't healed from their previous losses, and it's still something that will affect you. And believe it or not, it can still. This is not to bring shame or guilt or anything like that. This is for any trauma that we have. I just feel it needs to be processed one way or another, and it can affect you in your motherhood. It can affect you later. And I think those tools that I teach those women. It's not just for pregnancy. It's literally for your life. For mindset work and emotional tools. It's also for how to deal with things in life. But I do feel like processing trauma from the past. Your losses, it's very important to move forward. And that does not mean erase it. That does not mean forgetting it. That does not mean not honor it. It just means moving forward, with more hope and without all these luggages, emotional luggages that it's very heavy to carry eventually. So, but thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. And you do an incredible job on your Instagram, just showing things of like resources and everything on there. So be sure to look at that because you do an incredible job. So thank you for
I
coming on
appreciate
and
it.
sharing your personal journey, and congratulations with your daughter, and just everything you're doing professionally. We really appreciate you being on the show.